Are we on? Are we on? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Poole Harding. And oh boy, we have a very special guest. This basketball head has been a staple on the New York City scene since his days as a player at Powell Memorial High School during the 70s. Now, this basketball head is the head referee in charge. This basketball head is the president and founder of B-Ball Referees, established in 2000, and special events coordinator for the New York Knicks. This basketball head has 35 years experience officiating basketball and is currently the supervisor assignor of referees for the New York Corporate and Lawyers League, Tri-County, Hoops in the Sun Tournament, Central Park Youth League, and more. This basketball head experience comes from officiating at various levels, such as NBA camps, ProAm, New York to the ATL, West 4th Street Pro Classic, several college and high schools, and is a member of the IAABO Board 42 and past member of SUBOA, which stands for the Sports United Benevolent Officials Association. So as you know, we paying tribute and homage to all officials and referees around New York City and around the country. So without further ado, help me welcome to the show, B-Ball referee, founder, and president, Bernard Bowen Sr.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for having me.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that intro? Was it up to your standards?
It was, and a couple of corrections. I am presently a SUBOA member of Bronx, Manhattan.
Okay. So the bio had formerly.
Yes, at that time I wasn't. And
okay.
I'm correspondent secretary for SUBOA, and I'm also the president. I'm also the president of IAABO Board 42, Bronx, Manhattan.
Wow.
Yes.
Listen.
So I keep my hat in it.
always. Well, let me tell you, it was an honor sitting down and chatting with you at the May Hoops event, which you was the head referee for and assigner. And you're assigned for all the big companies that come into town, man. They tap into you and your guys and girls and women who service the officiating era for boys and girls.
Yeah, I do Nike Pro City as well. So
Man.
We link right into the NBA, and the NBA have an RDP program, which is a referee development program. And a lot of them that come out of that program, they do come over and work with us during the summer at Nike Pro City. And then we have a lot of the G League officials come to New York. And to be in a positive environment and what we call a safe haven environment for referees to grow with good basketball. So I enjoy doing it. Props to my son, who's actually the head of Nike Pro City. So Bernard Bowen Jr. And so
Yes.
I'm happened.
He does a wonderful job. We want to bring him on soon as well.
Okay.
But I had to go with the senior first. I had to go with the OG first. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Then we'll
All
get to
right.
the son for sure. I want to jump right into this. Who introduced you to the game?
Sonny Franklin. Way back, I was probably 10, 11 years old. And then I went on to playing basketball at the, what was it, Boys and Girls Club. No, it wasn't even a girls club. It was just a boys club on 111th Street in Manhattan.
Wow.
And then we played in the Rucker tournaments all out, since we was like 10, 11 years old, all the way up. And there was a man sitting in the stands that was watching me play. And his name was Brother Jensen.
Mm.
And he was a priest and coached at Powell Memorial. And he said to me, "I'd like to talk to your mother." And he was sitting in the stands. I didn't know who he was. And I was like, "This man wants to talk to my mother." Okay.
What's that about, fam?
Yeah. So, but at that time, you're a young fella. You just think you're just happy. You just had a good game and everybody's talking to you and you high-fiving and all that kind of stuff. So lo and behold, he helped me to introduce me to Powell Memorial. And I got there and played ball. And at that time, I also was good enough and Brendan Malone was the head coach. And he said to me, "You're a great player. Just be patient." So a few years later, when he was coaching Detroit, I think, and I went to a Knicks game and I took my son, and Brendan came over to my son and said, "Your dad was a great player.
Wow.
Go left and right." So, I was very pleased to get the compliment, and at the end of the day, I did move on. So. But it was a great introduction, and I'll listen up to some of your questions, and this will probably fall right into everything that we're talking about.
No doubt. I just want to hit on this. The Catholic schools were recruiting early. Let's give a shout out to the Catholic schools recruiting early.
Absolutely.
They was always out there recruiting.
And they're still doing it.
Let me tell you. So there's a lot of talking about New York City basketball, which is great. And I want to thank my guy, Sebastian Telfair, for lighting this fire, because everybody's talking about New York City basketball now, and it's hotter than ever. My guy, JoJo, from Say Word Podcast, had Reggie Freeman, Kenny Anderson, and Kareem Reed all on a podcast. And they were just bigging up the Catholic School League. Now, no doubt, in that late 80s to like maybe mid 90s, right? The Catholic school had it on lock, sending all, great players to big time colleges. But sometimes I think people forget, right? During the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like for 3 decades straight, the talent was in the public school league, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And not just in one borough.
Talk about it. Talk about OG. Let them know.
We had a whole lot of them in the Bronx and Manhattan, and then we had a lot of them in Brooklyn. You can go back to Elmore Anderson, piggybacking with Pearl. So when you think about it, and as we know,
Connie Hawkins,
yeah,
Jumping Jack Jackson, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Jackie Brown, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys were phenomenal basketball players.
Yes. And watching them play, going into the parks and watching them play. I remember as a kid going up to the Rucker tournament and sitting there, and I lived on the east side of Manhattan, as we called it back then, the Upper East Side, Yorkville, and there was a guy named Herman Knowles. And Herman Knowles lived in that same building I grew up in 301.
Right.
His name was Helicopter.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. And he used to tell us, come on up here, and he'd throw a quarter up on the backboard and he'd go get it.
Now, we all thought that was legend, right? We all thought that was legend, but for you guys that saw it in real time, it wasn't legend.
No.
It wasn't legend at all.
It was almost like a natural thing.
I made a mistake. It wasn't Jackie Brown. It was Roger Brown. My mistake. Roger Brown from Wingate, who torched Connie Hawkins in one of the biggest games ever when Wingate played Boys High, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's history.
Billy Cunningham, right? Of course, you know, we had the captain at Power Memorial. We had Earl Manigault at Franklin. We had Tiny Archibald at Clinton. We had Kenny Hutchinson at Franklin. Walter Berry at Franklin.
Oh, yeah.
We go on and on and on. But I just had to make that point. I digress.
Okay.
So tonight is your night, right?
Whatever you want to talk about.
What part of New York City are you from, and how was your childhood?
My childhood was great. I'm an only child. I grew up on the Upper East Side on 99th Street. I remember just walking the streets and feeling totally comfortable, as we don't always feel comfortable these days.
There you go.
But it was a great upbringing. You know, I had 8 uncles, 7 aunts, and my mother had a big family. And, you know, it was great to just see everybody, especially now, as you are the older ones,
That's
you know,
right.
and try to, you know, take what you have been taught and think of it in a positive way. We was always in church, and we believed in how to, you know, where God had guided you through things, and you always learned to give back. And to me, giving back is more rewarding than asking somebody to give me something. So I always look forward to how I can help others, because God has blessed me in so many ways.
Amen to that. Amen to that. When you was on Power Memorial, did you play JV? Did you have to wait your turn, or freshman? How did that go?
Yeah, well, actually, I got on the freshman team, and the Brendan Malone, they used to practice after us, and he used to tell me, stay with the varsity, you know, hang out with the varsity. And I used to go through the drills with the JV and the varsity. All the freshman guys couldn't do that.
Gotcha.
And so it was a great experience. I wish I would have completed it. I still get called for my alumni with all the guys that was in my class that year. You know, Pat Toomey was with the board of PSAL for a long time, and he was a head coach in the PSAL. And he was my classmate, and he always calls me to tell me about the reunions and everything else that's going on. So it was something that I wish I could have completed, but it didn't happen, and I'm thankful for the experience.
In the 70s, who dominated more, the PSAL or the Catholic School League?
I would say the Catholic School League. PSAL didn't get the recognition that I think it deserved, but the Catholic School Leagues did get, you know, when you had a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jap Trimble, and all those guys coming behind, the limelight was going to, you know, you had Rice, you know, you had LaSalle. All of those schools were very good Catholic basketball factories, as you would call them.
But what about the Boys Highs and the DeWitt Clintons and of that day, who, you know, DeWitt Clinton won 18 city championships, and Boys High, I think up to this point, won 17.
I'm not sure the numbers, but both of those schools were great basketball schools. Great basketball schools.
But you saying the recognition, which it still does to this day, go to the Catholic School League.
Yeah, it does more so. But when you get a Tiny and you get a Ron B. Hagan, you know, Butch Lee, you don't forget those guys. And I saw Butch the other day, you know, because his son was playing in that Jordan Classic.
That's right. That Brandon Lee, who taught, he went to work.
Oh,
right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And it was very proud when he saw me. He was like, Bernard, you know, like hugging me. And I was like, it's just a rewarding to see guys that you played with, played against, and to know that their mindset is in a positive place.
That's good job, man. And thank you for clearing that up. Who was the best player in the city during your era?
Ooh.
Now, mind you, don't talk about captain because you already had left.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I really don't. I can't just call one person, because, you've seen so many guys. And one thing that you can honestly sit down and say, there was a guy from Queens that can shoot a jump shot. And I think his name was Gene Henderson. And he can actually shoot. A lot of New York City basketball players cannot shoot jump shots. And a lot of that, I believe, comes from the fact that they don't have the basket in the driveway, and they don't put enough effort. And when they have the parks, they don't use it enough to build up on the jump shot. And I think it's very important when you see 7-footers coming out and shooting jump shots, you can remember now how important shooting a jump shot is in basketball today.
But I think, us growing up in New York, we had games like 21 in Utah when it's like you against everybody.
World.
They didn't have that in other cities. They started to pick it up later. So we had to dribble our way out of situations. We didn't have time for the jump shot because, it was just about getting to the hole because you had 6 or 7 guys on you.
Yeah, right? you wanted to go to that basket score so I can get the ball back.
It was right. It was a different coach, and I think it's a different practice for us at that time. Whereas most guys and our city was overpopulated with ball players, and everybody wanted to play,
and everybody was a point guard,
and there was no space. So during that time, there was guys like George Johnson, who came out in '74 at New Utrecht. Bernard King, 74, right? We go, and we just talking about the 70s right now.
Don't forget Albert.
It was Albert in 77. He was the best player in America over Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that time saw some great public school guys. And then, the 80s, of course, with Pearl, Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Kenny Hutchison, So it was stacked. It was stacked. So when you kind of left high school, you was what was your transition like after high school? Like, did you had your mind dead set on being an official? What was that like for you?
Well, honestly, I was caught in between, and I wind up just going straight into a business school program. And I got into the business school and did pretty well. And graduated and wound up getting a job working for American Express.
Big time.
And at the same time I was working for American Express, I was starting to officiate basketball. So I like numbers. I like working with numbers. And I grew. And as I was growing into corporate America, I was growing as a referee. So that transition was just being competitive as a referee to grow and learn and network with the people. It's the same thing I was thinking of being in a corporate America. How to communicate, how to talk, and refereeing helped me to learn how to communicate with people and being able to listen, opposed to, because most referees don't want to listen. They just want to tell, and I feel that most good referees are referees who learn how to listen and then explain. And when you learn how to explain rule-based, you feel totally comfortable and people are more understanding when you do it with such a tone, which it took me not long to do it. I grew into it, I started doing more. And someone said to me, I think I mentioned it to you earlier. Someone said to me, why don't you join SUBOA in Brooklyn? And I was living in Brooklyn at that time, and I was doing CYO basketball. and they said to me, why don't you meet Buddy Keaton? And as I met Buddy Keaton just took me to another level as a referee. He put me in the fire in certain environments that, you know, a lot of referees would not want to be part of. And I think that's what made me a better official. And I enjoyed every bit of it because it made me feel part of the game that I loved. And as long as I was involved in it, I was still playing, but I was just controlling it with a whistle. And while I was doing that, I got introduced to the NBA ProAm classes, and there was a guy by the name of Sylvester Dobson. And he was one of the best teachers I've ever seen in basketball as a referee. And he just took me to another level. I watched him. He taught, he taught, he taught, he teached, he taught, he teach. And those are two different things. You know, when you learn how to teach and you're being taught something and you're receptive to it, you just see that flower blossom. And I was so happens to get a mentor by the name of Dick Pavetta. And Dick Pavetta took me under his wing, and I was doing pro games, summer pro classic games down in the Jersey Shore. And I worked with Dick Pavetta, a number of NBA officials. And a strike came at the same time. Buddy Keaton introduced me to West 4th Street. And that was one of the best places you can talk about seeing great basketball by a lot of named players who I officiated them all. And what happened was, you know, Dick Pavetta said, you know, we're going on strike. He said, the NBA is going on strike. And he said, I want you to go. Just go ahead and go. They invited you, you go ahead and go to that meeting. So I went to the meeting, and God bless him, but Darryl Garrison said, you know, I listened to everything that was going on, and the NBA referees are outside with their striking. Right. And I walked in, and, you know, it was an experience that I never experienced before. And as you would say, walking through a picket line, it was at a hotel out in Long Island.
Wow. And
I drove all the way out, and I sat down and I listened, and Garrison said to me, he said, you're a great official. I've seen you work. And I was like, where do you see me work? You know, but then now that I know in the position that I'm in, I get to see a lot of people work and they don't even know I'm in the gym. Right. So he said, yeah, but I think you'll look a lot better if you lost about 50, 60 pounds. And he said, well, you know, there's a camp coming up. Another referee by the name of Hugh Hollins was running out in LA.
Yep.
And I said, in the back of my mind, it was like a wife and a kid, nice job, making very good money. And this is something I love and I want, but I'm gonna stay with my family.
Got you. And
I made that decision, and I went on to working, became an assistant vice president for the third largest bank. And at the same time, while I was growing into corporate America, in 2000, I decided I was assigning a lot of AAU tournaments and things like that all over. And somebody said to me, you have very good people skills, and the way that you communicate with people, and you're very fair, which I take a lot of pride in being that way. And he said to me, why don't you open up your own business? And I could throw out another name, and God bless him, because he gave me an opportunity. That was Rob Kennedy from the Hoop Group. And Rob Kennedy said to me, you should open up your own referee organization.
All right, before we move too fast, I want to jump through this too quick. Right?
Okay.
Because there's some things that I want to touch on real quick.
Okay.
First of all, I made the whistle part of my show in honor of referees.
Thank you.
Right? The reason why I blow this whistle, because it's called the positive tech, right? Because usually you get a tech on the court, that's usually for something negative you did. So I did it in the reverse style, but this is an honor of referees. And I'll tell you, a situation once we get later on in the show
Okay.
about incident with a referee that I had some time back. But I wanted to touch on that, right? I wanted to touch on, why didn't you pursue that job in the NBA? Because you had the choice to make, right? And you decided to stay home with your family because when you're an NBA referee, you're traveling all over the world or all over the country, right?
That is true. But before you even get there, there's a lot of things that you got to do. And like they're doing today, they have this RDP program. And a lot of these individuals are single with no family, and they're hungry to become referees, where that's a great way to do and be in that position. But at my side of my experience, I already had a family. And if I didn't have a contract to go take care of my family while I was doing certain things in basketball, I may not have had a family. So I just looked at it as it's a great opportunity, it's a great experience. And I looked at it more so as how do I make this still part of my life? And because I loved it. And I refereed everywhere and anywhere when I got a phone call. It could be in the Bronx, it could be in Brooklyn, it could be in Queens. It didn't matter because I was getting those phone calls.
Got you. Now, when you talk about New York referees that been in the NBA, they're only 6. Marriott,
Marat,
Garak,
Marat.
Marat, yeah, Sean Wright, Zach
Mhm.
Azarba, Dick Pavetta, Hugh Evans, and Ronnie Nunn.
That's right. And
Right?
I ref with 3 of them.
Now, when we talk about the pipeline, the city that has the most NBA referees is Delco, Delaware, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Why, since New York City is the Mecca, we don't have a pipeline for referees going to the NBA?
Well, it was a gentleman by the name of Cecil Watkins.
Yes.
Who was involved with the ProAm.
Yep.
He actually ran the ProAm. And I don't know where the disconnect may have come in, but it's somewhat at a certain point, the relationships were not reaching the NBA office. I have a direct link now to the NBA office. I speak to them often. I work with Jim Capus right now. We have an RDP program actually running at one of the sites that I have the site for referees in the corporate league. We use that as a training ground for them. So if anyone that I see that have that potential, I can put a word in. They got to still go through their steps. And at the same way, you go into the portal and you fill out your application and put a profile up. And it's just like having a basketball player being recruited. Referees are recruited. And they want referees to have some kind of history, and they want them to be academically sound. One of the criteria is having a college degree. And they want to make sure that you're able to officiate. So the training programs that are around, they have a grassroots program that's very good. Like I said, again, that RDP program is very, very good. The gentleman that works under that program as well is a New Yorker who is here, and he actually have reached out to bring out some of the officials, and some of the officials from the New York area, we try to get them into that, as you say, be seen environment with the hopes that they get an opportunity or get a phone call to do this or do that. One of the last folks that I've been talking to is just that, to my opinion, he's a little older now than he was. And you may have seen him work the other day at the Jordan Classic with Smush Parker.
Yes.
And when Smush spoke to me about 4 years ago, He said, he called me Papa B. He said, I want to become a referee. And I got him into it, and he loves it. And I wish it would have been 10 years earlier, because I think he would be a dynamic candidate to be in the NBA as an official, as such other officials who left the game and went straight into officiating. So he's doing well now. He's doing college basketball. And because of his experience as a player, it's somewhat fast-paced him. And he's able to jump up and down at a college game or that college level now. At least he's still in a game that he loves.
Now, what can we do as a community to help recruit younger guys? Because if you're saying they need degrees, you guys need to be in the colleges and getting some of these young guys who, have an athletic background, some guys that's not going to pursue basketball seriously after college, maybe just get a degree, but they're physically in shape, they love the game, and we can get them in early to kind of create some kind of pipeline and get them some experience in these tournaments, right? In these different leagues, so we can create some kind of pipeline. Now, I'm just saying this because I love our city, right? And I think there's a lot of young people out here that if they knew the insights of being a referee. The referees always looked at as the bad guy. And this is why I have so many referees on my show. I think you have to be either the fifth referee or sixth referee out of my show. I have I always show love to referees. I post them on my page and let the city know that these people need to be honored as well. We're getting pushed as basketball players. Everybody's not going to make it.
That's right.
Being a basketball player.
Right.
But you can still be involved in the game, being an official.
I'm a perfect example of it, and I know I lived it that way. As an ex-player, ex-coach, a parent of player, so you start to see that. But one of the things, to your point, you want to know, how do we get a lot of these officials? First thing, when I teach in a class, I try to explain to referees, you got to crawl, you got to walk, you got to jog, and then you got to run. If you're trying to run, it's like getting to the dance and there's nobody there to dance with. You want to be able to get to the dance when everybody's at the dance and you know how to. So that comes with training. That comes with being patient. That comes with being in environments that you can nurture yourself and grow. Every place may not be for every official. So we want to make sure that officials are groomed and they start to be selective, and then introduce yourself to different environments of learning this game of basketball as an official. And then you want to be able to expose yourself to different camps. And sometimes just your networking, one of the terminologies that we use in the referee community is, you never know who's watching you.
That's right.
You never know who's watching you. So at the end of the day, as I say, crawl, walk, jog, and then run. Get with someone and crawl and get your confidence up. We have the one thing I would say that I disagree with a lot of younger officials. They get a game, they get this certification, they get 2 games, and then they want to do a pro game. Right? And then now they realize after that program, they got baptized.
That's right.
Now they don't want to be a referee no more. But if you crawl, walk, jog, you understand? I preach that because at the end of the day, the more, as we say, the more that you see what they say plays, the more confident you will be. If you know you walk down a block every day and somebody throws an egg, you know to cross the street because you've been experienced to it. So that's the same thing as going through the referee community, is get an opportunity to see a play, work on something. Because a game may be a little younger kids or kids that are not as fast, then there's certain things that you as a referee have to learn. That's a 10-second count. That's how do you referee off the ball. Most folks, they go to a game, they only see the ball and see the person with the ball. There's a lot going on in that game. And if you're a good official, and they teach us to be what they call a PCA, which is your primary coverage area. And once you learn that PCA, you'll understand that everybody on your team, which is the referee's team, have an area of responsibility. Stay in your area of responsibility.
No, that's well said. Well said. Now, when you decided to start your company, did you have intentions of doing multiple sports or just basketball?
My initial reason for doing it was because there was a lot of younger officials that became certified and did not have an opportunity to get what they thought was the only basketball in the world, which was PSAL, all Catholic school. And the way that I always taught or speak to referees, basketball is 12 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so building a company, because I had relationships in corporate America who ran a lot of corporate events and different things like that, and which linked me up into the Knicks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It just tells you how to build yourself, and building a company was also the part of bringing all these officials and giving them an opportunity. And the more that I was able to do that, I built that company in 2000, and we're in 2024 now. So we're talking about 24 years.
Mm.
And I took it from just basketball to now doing volleyball, flag football, soccer, and loving every bit of it because it's still giving referees an opportunity. And so many referees now do basketball and flag football, or they do basketball and they do volleyball. So in a sense of being that entrepreneur type of person and giving people that opportunity to develop and grow. And the other thing is I'm a certified financial advisor. So I teach financial literacy.
Mm.
So I do that all with basketball, and I do financial counseling with a lot of the referees to teaching them how to move and develop themselves in a financial world.
Can you give us a history on, or do you know the history on Black referees being able to officiate games in the Catholic and public school, or was it just the Catholic school league?
Well, for a long period of time, it probably, I can go back to like a Sean Campbell or Randy Donaldson, not many that did Catholic high school varsity or private school varsity.
Mm.
Very good officials out there. Mike Bennett was another one. Arnold Sanders finally got put into it. But I was the observer for one, like the Northeast Conference up in Boston. And a lot of these guys that are doing college ball now, I helped groom them when I was up at Hoop Mountain as an observer. And I was the only one from New York. So what you're saying from that training point, I took myself from New York, and I was very well received in Boston. And when all the New Yorkers came up, I spoke to them, talked to them, molded them. And a lot of them now are doing college ball or have stopped officiating because they were a little older. We have one that came through this from Long Island, but anyone from the New York area, I became somewhat of a mentor to them and introduced them to different avenues. Paul Toomey's now in the G League. You know, he's a good official, and he did Catholic varsity, but he's a white guy. And now you got to talk about Black guys. It wasn't always that many. Now today,
It is, yes.
Now today, when you walk into most Catholic high school varsity games, it's at least one Black official on that game.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so it has come a long way. Were there good enough officials 15 years ago to do it? Absolutely. Did they get the opportunity to do it? No. But if we're going to worry about what was in the past and learn from it to be a better official, the opportunity is going to be coming. And that's why you say crawl, walk, jog, and run, because any assigner wants the best official they can get. And at the end of the day, because we're looking at where we are as officials, we're always looking for good officials. And sometimes you got to take away. Everybody don't do it. I know I do. I don't look at color. I look at officiating. And I look at officiating to have the best officials that I can get to do a game. If they want to come from Jersey, they want to come from, I have referees came from California to do the Nike Pro League. And those officials were in the G League already. But why did they come to New York? One, because they spoke to me and I handled myself in a professional way. They knew the environment was a professional environment. And on the other side, they want New York basketball. They want to see New York basketball being played in what we call a safe haven and a great environment to have good basketball being played.
Hey, listen, whether you're black or white, like Michael Jackson said, whether you're black or white, you come to New York City, you're going to get that smoke. No matter who you
I know that's right.
you're going to get that smoke. Because, right, the referee's shirt, black and white, that's what we see, baby. We don't care who's in that shirt. You're going to get that smoke, and you're going to have to be able to take that smoke and be professional, right, and be stern and be fair, like my guy Arthur Lee Walker always says.
I remember. But listen, let me tell you one that you think about. One of the things that were really amazing, Buddy Keaton put me in, and you know Buddy.
Come on, we talking about a legend right here. Salute and rest in peace.
Yes, in peace. Yes, indeed. Buddy gave me a lot of opportunities, and it was so funny. I had Kurt Sumter, which people don't know.
Hold on. Woo! I see them cut some people up in Brevoort. Him and Pete Edwards in the backcourt. Destroyers.
Look, and you had Phil Sellers.
Phil Sellers with the shag. Well, no, what's the name had the shag? Kurt had the shag, right?
Oh yeah. Kurt had a little shag in the back.
Man. Go ahead. Keep
Earl,
talking,
Earl, and now I'm down at West, and not at West 4th Street. I had them at West 4th Street too, but I have them at Soul in the Hole.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, had them at Soul in the Hole, and guess who my partner was? Ronnie Nunn.
Ronnie Nunn.
The
legendary
yes.
NBA referee.
Yes. And me and Ronnie took that game and shut it down. We're going to play basketball. We're going to play within these inside these lines, and let's have fun. All that other stuff, we not handling.
That's right.
And that park was packed. You know how they sit on the fence. And we had a great game. I had another great game with another gentleman from Brooklyn, Mike Hewlin. And Mike Hewlin was an art craft maker on the referee court as an official. And I love him. You know, I can tell you plenty of stories of different officials who have moved on and done well.
Hold on, OG. I will take you back, right? Because when I was young, we used to be amazed at the way Sonny Lewis used to referee. He was just so animated. He got you involved. He wasn't the sideshow, but he was fair and he was stern. But his calls, man, he did it with a smile, and he brought the players down because, you know, the players back, you know, the 80s, man, it was rough out here in these streets being a referee. Sonny Lewis did an awesome job. And then you had the opposite of that spectrum with Gil Reynolds, where he just would be tightening up his wrist the whole time, right? He'd be tightening up that watch the whole time. You'd be thinking about to bust a blood vessel. And they were my examples. And then I met Ronnie Nunn at Boys High during the Big Apple games. And I couldn't believe that he was in the NBA. He was an NBA referee.
Yeah.
Like, I was so in awe. And the fact he went to Boys High, I was so amazed at that.
Ronnie Nunn is a great teacher in the referee community. He does a very good job. Him and I did a camp together. Well, I did a camp with him. He had the camp and I was invited. And we've collaborated on a couple of things. But he's an awesome mentor. And when I worked with him on the court, it was something like I let him know I could officiate.
Right.
And after the game, it's like, great job, man. And so those are days that I remember. And, it was great basketball. And also it took you to another level. And I remember getting up in the morning with Mario Eli. And
New
Clark.
York City great.
Oh,
New York City legend. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Right.
And they used to come to Highland Park with Craig Booth. Craig Booth was running his tournament. I used to start out at Highland Park for 9 and 10 o'clock game, and then go to Reese Beach and do another 2 games at Reese Beach, go to Lafayette Garden and do the 4 o'clock game. And then that same day, go to West 4th Street to do the hot rod game at 6 o'clock.
Yo, hold on. So your ass is burning up at Reese Beach. Then you go to LG and get all the shade in the world.
Oh, that's
and
right.
then cool down by the time you get to West 4th.
That's right.
Oh boy, you was doing the big.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna never tackle you. This is fabulous. Now,
Yeah.
I want you to let everybody know, why are referees so important to the game?
Well, the importance of the game or referee is not to be judgmental to a coach or to a player. They're there to govern the game. What happens is that we as human beings and human nature, we just want to win. And as you say, as any means necessary, we want to win. And the first person you always go to blame when you're not allowed to win is the referee. See, because you go to the hoop, you missed a layup, somebody fouled me. Not that you missed a layup, right? I take a jump shot, nobody's underneath me, I miss it. It's the referee's fault because the player was close to me and you should have called the foul, right? So I say a lot of it is, one, referees got to have thick skin. They cannot take it personal. It's a game. Quote unquote, you're 50% right on mostly every call. That team who got the foul call against them, they said no on the 50%. The team who got the foul for them, oh, great call, ref. Right? So we're sitting there and we're watching the same thing and we're saying, he did foul him. And the other coaches, where did he foul him at? So you get those type of things, but your job is to govern the game. And that's why they say, one thing, Mickey Crowley always said this, don't make a call that you cannot explain. If you cannot explain it, don't make the call. You go Ray Charles on it. You can't explain it, don't make the call. Right? God bless him. But hey, yes, indeed. Right? Not intentionally, but that's reality.
Right.
So now, when you go to make a call and you're going now, you see, if you look at high school basketball, you go opposite the table. There's a reason for that. Those referees doing high school basketball do not make enough money to go to the table to listen to coach in his ear. Okay? Now you see the NBA guys, they get paid good money. So they got to go listen to that sermon every once in a while to see whether or not that sermon sounds good enough that they're going to look a little closer the next time.
$600 a game or $250,000 a year, and it could go up higher than that.
Oh, yeah. And see, the whole thing about it is referees love doing it. Fans only want to see a win. When you go to any game, the majority of people in that game is watching the game. You saw me at the game. I'm not watching that game. I'm watching the referees to see their demeanor, their posture, their confidence. And when I go in that locker room with them, I explain to them what I saw in a positive way. If you do it in a positive way, it's absorbed and applied. And if you do it at halftime, then they're going out the second half to show me what you just talked about. And that's one thing that we don't do as officials learning the game. Whoever critiques you, Ask them the next time they see you, how are you doing? You know, did I look better in my chuck? You know, if I got a chuck, you know, when I came and I administered a file, did it look believable? Was my posture? All of those things are looked at and you're graded on in order to get to the next level as a basketball official.
My guy, Cal from All Things Hoops. Salute, Tina. Appreciate you. And Happy New Year's to you. He said, Mr. Bowen's fire emojis. Love you, champ. And he always said, and he also said, was a father figure to a lot of kids growing up also. Salute, OG.
Wow.
My guy, Cal Griffin. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yes. So, wow. Damn, Cal, you made me sneeze. Let me stop. All right. So, what's your thoughts on referees talking to the crowd?
No, I don't like it.
So
I don't think that a referee should lose. Look, here's a perfect example. When I work with Manny Sokol, you know Manny Sokol is. So when I work with Manny, hold on one sec. When I work with Manny Sokol used to be just like Sonny Lewis.
Right.
And he used to be theatrical. And then the crowd was into him as long as they was into the game.
Yeah.
But you're not there for the crowd. You're there to govern a basketball game. And you are not focused if you're worrying about the fans sitting on the side and you're holding conversation. We have too many referees that walk, especially high school games, you don't see it as much. College games, you don't see it. But rec basketball and some of our summer leagues, the referee walking, he's high-fiving everybody. The ball goes up in the air, now they're not your friend no more. You know, so you got to understand the professionalism side that you're there to do a job. You're not there to, quote unquote, make friends with the spectator who's watching that game. And if the spectator, where referees need to understand this is one of the point of emphasis for this year's rules. And it has been for a long period of time, but they made it a point of emphasis. I was at the conference, the IAABO conference, the national conference. And one of the things that were point of emphasis that was so important was when you see spectators out of control, cursing at you and all kind of things, and you identify who that person is, don't go back to that person. You're supposed to, the rules that we're taught is to know who's the head person in that gymnasium. And that's also something that referees don't do enough in their pregame to know who to identify who's a point person. And what you do with that is you go to the point person and you tell them, spectator over here is a little out of control. You want to speak to him so we can have a great game because he's taking it to a different level. Do that happen all the time? No. But is that something that needs to be done more? Absolutely. And we need that because referees are there to do their job as an official to govern the game to the best of their ability. Are they perfect? No. If they make a mistake, we just hope that that mistake is not enough that it caused a game or it's not something that's being repetitive and it's not something that they carry on to the next game. It should be a learning lesson and you grow from it. And as you're growing in the refereeing community, you'll see yourself develop habits that'll take you to the next level and the next level and the next level. So that's why it's important to govern a game fair and honest and open to the players and respect to the coaches.
This is a good segue into my story that I want to share with you.
Okay.
So I think it was 2021-22 Black History Month. We was at St. Joseph by the Sea, man, my good friend Neil, watching the game. And he spoke to one of the referees because we were sitting right on the first row. So if you know anything about St. Joseph by the Sea, it was me, him, and just another black woman in the stands. But we was there, invited by our, friends who were of the other persuasion, but we were invited by them. So we were guests of the house.
Right.
Great people. My guy says to the referee, "Oh man, that was a great call. We this is the same level because we right in the front. No yelling going on." The next quarter, he said, "Yo, ref, I know you saw that. Come on, man. You call it both ways." Had a smile on his face. He didn't yell. He didn't point. And the referee turned around and said, "You," screamed just like that. Put his finger in his face. "Shut up." My friend is a lieutenant in the MOP, military officer, right? So he's a big shot where he's at. My friend didn't say anything the whole game. He was pissed. But he kept his composure. During halftime, he walked over to the concession stand. Now, I'm watching him because I want to make sure my guy doesn't say anything. We're in Staten Island during Black History Month. You're military police. I'm an educator. This is not going to go right. So the guy walks to the concession stand, and the referee, he was facing the court. Then as he saw my guy walking, he turned to my guy and was like, "What? What?" Like my guy wasn't walking over to him. My guy was so pissed off, he didn't even go to the concession stand. He came back and he's looking at me like, "Yo, Pooh, I know you saw that." I said, "Yo, bro, I'm watching it. I should have had my camera on at the time, but I just was so focused on making sure there was no altercation or no words were being exchanged." My guy is irate. Salute to my guy, Anthony Graziano, the whole family, because they all watched it and, they knew my guy longer than I knew him. And they was like, "Man, you did a good job, Neil. And you didn't say anything. Very professional. Cool." Come to find out, that referee had went to the other school because it was St. Peter's versus St. Joseph by the Sea. The referee actually went to St. Peter's. But it wasn't no big thing because the St. Peter's coach was pissed off at him, just like the St. Joseph by the Sea coach was pissed off at him,
Yeah.
right? So we didn't look at it as a race thing, but it was just unprofessional. Correct?
Right.
The next day I put on my page, the most unprofessional referee in New York City. And when I tell you, this thing went viral, you had referees coming out of the woodwork. And I guess people at first, they just thought I heard something, right? They don't realize I was there. Before I even put it up, I called my lawyer. I called Coach Ray Haskins. I told Coach, my mentor, that was the first person I called was Coach Haskins. Then I called my lawyer, like, "Yo, can't be no libel." So, but this got to happen because the guy was unprofessional. And then I did a show on it. I'll send it to you, and you can hear people that was there that night. That is the only problem that I've ever faced with a referee. The referees are all professional. If I'm on the floor taking pictures, whatever, before I go off the floor, I always say hello to the referees and introduce myself. A lot of them already know me because they see me at the games all the time, and then I run my own tournament here in Brevard. So they know the deal, right? And we are cool. Just that one situation that I explained to you exactly what happened. So
I'm gonna share one with you that's gonna blow your mind too.
And then the last thing I'll share, somebody from his board, whoever the president from his board, I think I met this gentleman too, and won't say his name out loud. But I met him afterwards because he was like, no one followed this page or comment, which, it was all good. because once he met me and we got to talk in person and he got to see what kind of person I was, he said, y'all been watching your page. You show a lot of love to referees, so I know it wasn't any malice, but we take a lot of flack out here. I said, I understand that. This is why I'm the only guy who in media who posts referees. I don't really think nobody else posts referees the way I post referees.
Yeah, well, you can't have a game without referees.
Hey, and I respect him to the utmost. And I was a player. I never got text. I always, even when the referee made a call that I didn't agree with, my coaches always told me, you know, tell him it was a good call anyway. You know, I come from the close of, you know, Sonny Lewis, right? That trophy is, it's a trophy back there. I got an MVP for the Sonny Lewis tournament. These guys taught me how to deal with referees.
Yeah.
So I was always been a gentleman to referees, but I had to share that story.
Yeah, let me share one with you. Let me share one with you. So now I'm in corporate America and I'm a referee and I'm on a board and blah, blah, blah. And I run my own referee organization. And I believe it was 2005. I was coaching a very well established prep school. Coaching. And the first year I took these kids that were like 3 and 20, 3 and 19, something like that. And I flipped them, just building them up. We went out to play a school. I ain't gonna yell the school name out, but
there you go.
You know, but at the end of the day, the referees got on the court, and I know how to talk to a referee because I am a referee and I teach officiating. He didn't know me. And so I said, ref, can you do me a favor? The same call you making down there, can you look to see if we got that same body language down here? That's enough. Excuse me? I just asked you a question. Why are you so, and my tone is like low, because I know this, you know. So play happened again, and my player went to the hole, and we didn't get the call. So I said, ref, I just asked you, can I get the same call down at that other technical foul? As he's walking to the table to administer the call to the table, give them the table, he goes, that's enough from you. I said, well, I'm asking you a question. Tech, you're out of here.
Wow.
1 whistle, 2 techs, I'm gone. I never came on the court. Okay. So the athletic director from the other school that we were playing, he said, Bernard, he don't know you. And I said, well, he will get to know me. I want his name and the board that he's on. I got his name and I got the board he was on. And I called the president of the board. Okay. I'm in the basketball community, so this guy didn't know who I was, but whatever. That summer came. I'm the observer up at Hoop Mountain up in Massachusetts.
Uh-oh.
Who walks in? This referee. Woo!
Hey, boy.
I looked at him. He looked at me, and excuse the expression, he turned red. And he saw me doing some of the lecturing. And then we brought the whole class in, and I said, they asked us, everybody got a story? I said, yeah, I got one. I said, we have officials in here that has to understand how to compose themselves and how to go about, if you want to get rid of a coach, there's a way to do it. You do not toss a coach unless he's coming running on the court after you or something on 1 whistle. If you call a technical foul and you went from the lead to the trail, and I'm saying it out in front of just a whole group, and I said, you go to the opposite side of the table. If anything you want to get that coach, you have a partner that will get him if that coach is out of control. If you are the trail and the ball is getting ready to be administered to a shooter, you blow your whistle and say, coach, You had your say, let's play basketball and let's move on. What you just did was you told the whole audience and you told the whole gym that I got this. And you need to just coach and I'm going to referee. But by you doing what you did, you brought exposure to yourself. And you brought exposure to yourself to make the game about you. And referees should not be thinking about making it about them. It's how do you, so there's techniques that we should always work on as referees. Those are what they call a pregame. If I call one, you look for the next one, or if I have to, you come in with the second one. Those are things that referees work together. And that's why they say, if I call the first one, if he's out of control, you call the second one. That showed that we were equal opportunity employers. And you got to understand that we're out here together. And when coaches, and you're not just reffing for that game, you're reffing for the next game and the next game because somebody's in the stands watching you as a referee. That coach that happened to, that coach know that referee. So now you got to automatically have in the back of your mind when you see that referee. But just to make a long story short, during the camp, I pulled him aside. And I said, you didn't know I was a referee, did you? He said, I heard it when you left. I didn't know I was going to see you here. I said, yeah. I said, you know what? Here's my phone number. Call me. I have some work for you in the city. You live in the city. I want you to do some work. So this way you can build up some more of your confidence when you're blowing the whistle. He took my number and he worked for me that whole summer.
Because he forgot who he was talking to, the head referee in charge.
You know, it was just being professional.
That's right.
And handling business at the right moment and being able to show professionalism when you know you wasn't out of character. You was asking a question. Now, if I was rude or if I ran on the court as a coach, and we have too many coaches running on the court. And that's another point of emphasis that referees have. That's why that coach's box is there. We have to get coaches to stay in their coach's box because their control or being out of control allows the players to be out of control. And them being out of control, now the parents that are sitting there spectating, they're out of control. So there's a lot going on in a game that we are governed to manage. We don't need the spectators to be involved or our focus to go towards spectators. Our focus should stay within those lines.
Nah, well said, man. I didn't at the time realize the power of my platform because that referee who I talked about, he didn't do any more playoff games that year or any more college games. So I realized at that point the power of my platform, and I choose and still from the beginning choose to use it as something positive and not negative to hurt people because that wasn't my intention. I offered to take it down if he come on the show so we could talk about it, or if he apologized to my friend. But they said he refused to come on the show. And listen, I saw him again, and I went up to him and I shook his hand. We didn't even talk about it. I just shook his hand and told him, "Good game." You know,
good for you.
Listen,
well, it's a passion. It's a passion to be involved in basketball. It's a passion to play it as a kid. And as you grow up into it, it's something that if you want to stay involved in it, take it to the next level. You could be a coach, you could be an athletic director. You can do something in it that's going to make you think positive and be happy to be engaged. If you're going to be frustrated as an official, you shouldn't be on that court. If you're going to be taking sides in a game, you shouldn't be on that court. And a lot of officials will take games. It's like you said, we're human beings. We got in a car accident on the way to the game. We're frustrated. We're not taking it. We don't have the fortitude to sit down and say, let me just calm down or something like that. No, because we're jumping right into a game. That's part of also the teaching habits of a referee. I mean, as for me, as quote unquote the assigner or the head person of doing certain venues or around venues, I tell guys, you can't get to a game at game time. And it's too many of us that get to games at game time. When you get to games at game time, you're not focused into that game. You need to be at a game at least an hour before a game. We understand that a half an hour in rec basketball for 15 minutes before, you should be on the court 15 minutes before the game starts. And those are the things that referees get to sit down in that half an hour to talk about. If the ball is coming to me, it's a double whistle, let this happen. And now you're sitting there saying, well, he didn't see the call, he didn't blow his whistle. They both blew it. It was simultaneous whistles. Let it take, who's the ball's coming in, I'll take it as a lead. But those are things that spectators don't know. But how you present it and how you work with your partner, the more convincing you are when you go. That's why you say when you go to present, how sharp your mechanics might be and the confidence that you show and the tone in your voice, it's a seller's point as a referee. And those are things that, to me, it just makes you happy. When I go to a game and I see an official do it, I just get happy. I just get happy. I'd be like, good call, great, I like it, you know. And I get pumped up on it, you know. So I enjoy seeing a good game officiated. And when you go back and you ask a guy, and when I love officials that come in the locker room and they say, you want to tell me something, or did I miss something, or can you give me something? That tells me you want to learn. They're not saying, I want to hear I'm the best official out here. They want to hear is there something that we can actually do to make me better? Could I look at something? How about getting a little wider on the baseline? You can see more. Good call, but you would have saw it a lot easier if you had a little bit more, you know, space on the baseline, or you're the trail, you're going to call down in the paint. You got to step in when you make that call. You can't make that call and just turn around and just give it to when you're the trail. You can't do those things. And if you start doing that and talking it, and then it becomes natural to you, you'll see it all come together.
Man, this has been awesome. This has been awesome. I'm so glad we got a chance to sit down and have this great conversation, learn some more about you. Gave me some great insight and a lot of history behind some key officials and some great stories. Give me one thing you would change about your officiating journey. What would it be and why?
You say one good thing?
One thing you would change. One thing you would change.
I probably would have tried to pursue college basketball. But the one thing that I had to understand, because of the career that I sought and I was growing in it, it was also very hard, because it's a lot of sacrifice to become a good official. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to be something that's going to be given to you. You got to work for it. And if you don't have the time to put into it, it's going to come to a point where it's a wall, you know, because you got to introduce yourself to environments. You got to introduce yourself to people. And what I do is I make phone calls for officials. If I know they're going to a camp, I'll follow up with whoever's running that camp. So for me, you know, I wouldn't change what I have done. You know, I am thankful for the opportunity that has given me the vision to open a business to referees, to see other referees grow. And I would wish I could have done it earlier, because just being in corporate America and understanding a business structure, and my network of corporate people who are running venues and entrust those into me because of my professionalism. So for me, it looks important, and I want to share that with other officials. If you can't go to that next level, what else are you doing that's going to make you stay in the game, to be involved in the game? And if that's becoming an assigner, if that's coming to be an athletic director at some site, or just running a program for kids, you know, you can go to a shelter and Any of those things that makes you stay within the game. But for me, I was blessed, and I'm thankful for the opportunities been given. And I ventured off and took a lot of people along with me for the ride. And I make a lot of people a lot of money. So I know that's a good thing for them.
That's right, baby.
You know,
Nothing moves but the
yeah,
moolah.
yeah. So that's rewarding. It's also credibility. When you're a referee assigner, the best thing that you always have for yourself is referees work. And a lot of them, they want to get paid, and they want to get paid on time. So I take a lot of pride in making sure that any official that works for me is getting paid on the spot, or they're going to get paid within 24 hours if that's what they want. If the league calls for them to be paid by the end of the month and it's a direct payment to them, then they will get that payment at the end of the month. But that's important because it builds the confidence of an official working. And some referees are not going to, because of their employment, they're not going to be able to go to the next level. But if you take this as an avocation and you look at it and say, hey, I love doing it. I want to buy a brand new car. What's my car note? Okay. So now I'm going to work recreational basketball and I'm going to pay my car note off. How about your son going to school? Where do I actually do? And so refereeing can come into a lot of ways. Now, if it starts going to paying your rent, then it's a little bit more difficult. But if to give yourself something of a reward to help something else in your household, when your kids are going to school, they're going to college, you want to make sure that they have some lunch money, some extra money. These are things that you can get out of it. If you want to go on a vacation, you set your goals, and that's the financial literacy piece of it. How do you actually take and monitor something within your recreational basketball to say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay for my vacation now, and I'm going to work for it. So when I go on vacation, I ain't got nothing to pay for, And so basketball teaches a lot of things. A lot of things can come out of it. If you work at it in a positive environment, a positive mindset, you'll see how many rewards that you can come your way.
Well, listen, that was great, and some awesome lessons as well, and some great gems. I want to thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Listen, it's been an honor to have you on the show. Everyone who I talked or asked about you, from my guy Cal Griffin to Ray Haskins to other ball players, everybody had great things to say about you. And you're a legend in our game. And I want to say, keep doing your thing. And I'll definitely be seeing you around.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to hang out with you for a little while.
No doubt. My honor. Hey,
Yes,
told
sir.
you. The whistle's right here and honor referees right here, baby.
But I got to get you a Fox 40.
Give me a Fox. Come on.
I'm going to give you a Fox 40 with my logo on it.
That'll be awesome.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a good evening.
Bernard Bowen, Sr., y'all.
Yes, sir.
See you. Wow. Isn't that awesome? Like, I was just so entranced in the stories and listen to him speak. You have so much knowledge there. And a lot of times we go to the games and we get so caught up in watching the players that we don't realize the great job that the referee is doing. The officials are definitely needed. They're very important to the game. They're an integral part of the game. And I think they need to be respected and they need to be valued. They're not there just to win you games. Your team win you games. They're there to keep things in order, to be stern, and to be fair. That's it. So whenever y'all see referees, make sure y'all show them some love, good or bad. It's all 50-50, baby. Your way, my way. Even split. So since it's like that, make sure you show some love to referees. And I want to thank our guest tonight, Mr. Bernard Bowen, Sr., for all the great things he's been doing and still doing for New York City. He's a legend in my book. Well, I'm about to be out of here. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads Live, the podcast on NYC Basketball History, baby. And oh yeah, we got those hoodies. Still got them. And y'all know the slogan. We are the official home for New York City basketball. Just like we always do around this time. Peace.